If you were to ask me what the words mental health meant when I was 16 years old, I wouldn't have even known what you were talking about. Life was pretty easy and there were no real stresses for me. I was reasonably good at sport. I loved my studies, loving and caring family, 2 older sisters, mum, dad. I had never really faced any challenges. And then getting drafted to Melbourne, even the first couple of years of footy, it was all relatively smooth sailing. You know, I was extremely fortunate to play some early games of footy in the AFL, which was always a dream of mine. You know, we were in a bit of a rebuild as a club and things were looking on the up. And then it sort of all changed. Going into my 3rd year where we had a new coach and I got my first real injury. Prior to that, I think I'd only ever missed 1 game in footy in my whole life. I was going to be out for 12 months and going to my first ever surgery. That was a pretty flattening moment. To get such a, I guess, traumatic injury and a stress fracture in my foot, which stopped me from playing and training for sort of 12 to 24 months, was a fair sort of shock at the time, and nobody ever wants to get injured. It's a difficult process to go through. You sort of feel like you're on your own, you're insular. You know, the reason you play footy is because you love it and you're so passionate about it. You get out and train with your mates, you're feeling fit and healthy, and that's all stripped away from you. All these different challenges and adversities started getting thrown my way, and I guess that's when I really sort of started to, I guess, understand what mental health was and that sort of negative mindset that can be quite overwhelming at different stages. I couldn't play footy, couldn't be out there competing with my mates and trying to get the ultimate success. But in that time I could develop my off-field stuff. So I concentrated more on my studies. I ticked off a few more units that I wouldn't have been able to do if I was still playing footy. Met some new people in a different industry that I was really fascinated about. I'm not going to sit here and say that I was a superhero that never felt any sort of negativity or never had a down moment, because I certainly did. But I think the thing that helped me was I was able to identify those moments pretty quickly, and I had different coping mechanisms to get myself through.
Jack, fantastic honour. Congratulations. You must be pinching yourself at the moment.
You know, it's great to get the opportunity to lead this great club with such rich history, and really looking forward to it. Put in as captain at the age of 20, and in hindsight you could probably say I was a bit underprepared and could have gone another couple of years before being put in that sort of role. But at the same time, I'm never one to sort of look back and dwell on what could have been, and that was what the club thought was the best decision at the time, so I fully embraced it and had a crack at it, and no doubt I went on it was a steep learning curve for sure. I was still developing, you know, all these skills within myself, not to mention trying to help others in that area. I think that was my biggest learning as captain. I think I was so consumed with making sure my teammates were feeling okay, in a good headspace and performing well, that I neglected myself. But at the same time, it was a skill that I really learnt throughout that time, and I did build up strong relationships with my teammates, not all of them, and that's the other aspect that I learnt as well, that every individual is very different, so there's never a one-size-fits-all approach that's going to work in today's day and age. So what you say to one teammate is not going to get the same effect as saying to another teammate. So just learning the different personalities and getting to know the individual more than just the footballer. I wanted my teammates to always respect me as an individual, as opposed to respect me because I was a successful footballer. My favourite coaches throughout my career are ones that actually cared about me as a person, and not so much about whether I could kick a left foot inside 50 to a leading forward out in front, or, you know, make that tackle. I wanted the coach to really, I guess, appreciate me as an individual, and I was always going to play better as a result of that. If you have a coach that you truly respect and you want to win for, you're going to get better performance out of your players, and I think that comes from, you know, that relationship, communication, and just getting to know individuals at that deeper level that's just past them as an athlete. So if anything, just it's about that communication and getting to know people so much more.